Welcome, friends. On the biggest story tonight, we will take you through an exclusive four-part investigation into LiquorGate. In part one, sources have informed Republic that top AAP functionaries who appeared before the Enforcement Directorate named Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal as the key decision maker. Not only this, when questioned about the Goa election spending, AAP functionaries also said that the final decision in the party was taken by Kejriwal, and the ED has informed that 100 crore was spent by the party for the elections, and now a money laundering link is under the scanner. Let's look at those aspects through all of the details of this story in a package. In fact, I'm told Akhil is joining us live, and he's joining us live from New Delhi. Akhil, this is a very interesting bit of information coming in through sources, which is that there are a set of approvers. There are people within the Kejriwal circle who have spoken to the ED when questioned earlier and said that the buck stopped with the Delhi Chief Minister and AAP Supremo, obviously, and that all decisions connected with the policy which ultimately became LiquorGate were taken by Arvind Kejriwal. Have you heard anything in response from the Aam Aadmi Party, Akhil?
Well, absolutely, Abhishek. Right now, all the Aam Aadmi Party leaders are mum on that topic itself, but they have been saying and reacting to what BJP has been saying. BJP has been saying that Aam Aadmi Party chief, the convener of Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, is the kingpin of this entire Delhi excise policy scam. And if you see in this case, the key players who have been named in this case, and some of them are in jail also. I mean, if you talk about Vijay Nair is the media campaign, was the media campaign head of Aam Aadmi Party. And apart from Vijay Nair, another name was Dinesh Arora, Samir Mahendru, Amit Arora also, who is a businessman and owner of liquor company named as Buddy Retail, and Vivek Tyagi, and apart from Vivek Tyagi, there is Abhishek Baupalli also. So these are the people who have been named earlier in this case, and the involvement of these names, apart from the involvement of another cartel group which have been running from south. So all those names, and if you talk about the south group, the involvement of K. Kavita, she's daughter of KCR. Apart from her, Manguta Reddy, Manguta Reddy is a YSR CP MP.
Yes.
And apart from him, his son Raghav Manguta, Bucci Babu, P. Sarat Chandra Reddy, Abhishek Baupalli. So these names have been making rounds, and what we have been knowing from our sources that the approvers have been saying that they have been in direct contact with Arvind Kejriwal in this matter, and the final words was of the Arvind Kejriwal in this case. What we have been seeing in this case, the recent development is that when Arvind Kejriwal was issued first summon to be present in front of ED on November 2nd, then he missed it, and then again on November 18th, the second summon he missed it, and the third time summon which was given to him on January 3, then again he missed it, citing different reasons in the first summon. Yes, Abhishek.
Akhil, you know, the fact of the matter is, despite all this evidence, despite whatever the courts have said, Arvind Kejriwal seems to be doubling down. He has, in fact, rallied behind all the accused. Not only that, he also went on to call the summons illegal and invalid and alleged that he is being targeted ahead of elections by the Enforcement Directorate at the behest of the BJP. I'll come to you. Just stay with us. Let's listen into exactly what Arvind Kejriwal said in his defense earlier in the morning, and then I come back, Akhil.
शराब घोटाला, पिछले 2 साल से ये शब्द आपने कई बार सुना होगा। 2 साल से बीजेपी की सारी एजेंसीज कई रेड मार चुकी हैं, कई लोगों को गिरफ्तार कर चुकी हैं, लेकिन अभी तक एक भी पैसे का हेरफेर कहीं नहीं मिला, कहीं से एक भी पैसा नहीं मिला। अगर भ्रष्टाचार वाकई हुआ है तो इतने करोड़ों रुपए गए कहां? क्या सारा पैसा हवा में गायब हो गया? सच्चाई यह है कि किसी तरह का कोई भ्रष्टाचार हुआ ही नहीं। अगर होता तो पैसा भी मिलता। ऐसे फर्जी केस में आम आदमी पार्टी के कई नेताओं को इन्होंने अभी तक जेल में रखा हुआ है। किसी के भी खिलाफ कोई सबूत नहीं है, कुछ साबित नहीं हो रहा, खुलेआम गुंडागर्दी चल रही है। किसी को भी पकड़ के जेल में डाल दो। अब बीजेपी मुझे गिरफ्तार करना चाहती है। मेरी सबसे बड़ी संपत्ति, मेरी सबसे बड़ी ताकत मेरी ईमानदारी है। झूठे आरोप लगा के, फर्जी समन भेज के ये मुझे बदनाम करना चाहते हैं, मेरी ईमानदारी पे चोट करना चाहते हैं। इन्होंने मुझे समन भेजे हैं। मेरे वकीलों ने मुझे बताया कि ये समन गैर कानूनी है। क्यों गैर कानूनी है? ये मैंने इनको विस्तार से लिख के भेजा है। मैंने बताया है कि उनके समन कैसे गैर कानूनी है, लेकिन उन्होंने मेरी एक भी बात का जवाब नहीं दिया। इसका मतलब उनके पास मेरी बातों का जवाब नहीं है। इसका मतलब वे भी मानते हैं कि उनका नोटिस गैर कानूनी है। क्या मुझे एक गैर कानूनी समन का पालन करना चाहिए? अगर कानूनी रूप से सही समन आएगा तो मैं पूरा सहयोग करूंगा। बीजेपी का मकसद जांच करना तो है ही नहीं। इनका मकसद तो लोकसभा चुनाव में मुझे प्रचार करने से रोकना है। ठीक लोकसभा चुनाव के पहले इन्होंने मुझे समन भेजा है। क्यों? इस जांच को चलते 2 साल हो गए। अभी ठीक लोकसभा चुनाव के पहले मुझे क्यों बुलाया जा रहा है? पहले क्यों नहीं बुलाया? सीबीआई ने मेरे को 8 महीने पहले बुलाया था। मैं सीबीआई में गया था, उनके सारे जवाब भी दिए थे। लेकिन अब ये लोग ठीक लोकसभा चुनाव के 2 महीने पहले मुझे बुला रहे हैं। तो बीजेपी का मकसद कोई पूछताछ करना थोड़ी है। इनका मकसद है पूछताछ के बहाने केजरीवाल को बुला लो और उसे गिरफ्तार कर लो, ताकि मैं लोकसभा चुनाव में प्रचार ना कर पाऊं। आज बीजेपी भ्रष्टाचारियों को नहीं पकड़ रही, बल्कि खुलेआम ईडी और सीबीआई का इस्तेमाल करके दूसरी पार्टियों के नेताओं को तोड़ के बीजेपी में शामिल करवाने का काम किया जा रहा है। एक नहीं, 2 नहीं, कितने उदाहरण हैं जहां किसी पार्टी के नेता के खिलाफ ईडी सीबीआई के मामले चल रहे थे या उन पर गंभीर आरोप लगे हुए थे। जैसे ही वो नेता बीजेपी में शामिल हुए, उनके सारे पुराने मामले बंद कर दिए गए या ठंडे बस्ते में डाल दिए गए। तो जो इनकी पार्टी ज्वाइन कर लेता है, उसके सारे मामले रफा दफा कर दिए जाते हैं। जो इनकी पार्टी में नहीं जाता, वो जेल जाता है। आज मनीष सिसोदिया, संजय सिंह और विजय नायर इसलिए जेल में नहीं है कि उन्होंने भ्रष्टाचार किया है। वो इसलिए जेल में है क्योंकि उन्होंने बीजेपी में शामिल होने से इनकार कर दिया है। आज हम बीजेपी का मुकाबला क्यों कर पा रहे हैं? क्योंकि हमने कोई भ्रष्टाचार नहीं किया। अगर हमने जरा सा भी गलत काम किया होता तो दूसरे भ्रष्टाचारी नेताओं की तरह आज भी हम बीजेपी में शामिल हो चुके तो होते आज तक। इस तरह देश के ईमानदार नेताओं को जेल में डाल के और भ्रष्टाचारियों को अपनी पार्टी में शामिल करवा के ऐसे तो देश आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता। ये क्या चल रहा है? ये जो कुछ भी चल रहा है बहुत खतरनाक है। ये हमारे जनतंत्र के लिए बहुत गलत है। इसे रोकना होगा। मैं हमेशा देश के लिए लड़ा हूं। मेरा तन मन धन देश के लिए है। मेरी एक एक सांस देश के लिए है। मेरी खून की एक एक बूंद देश के लिए है। मेरे शरीर का एक एक कतरा देश के लिए समर्पित है। हमें मिलकर देश को बचाना है। मैं पूरी जी जान से इनके खिलाफ लड़ रहा हूं। आपका साथ चाहिए।
All right, the Delhi Chief Minister and AAP Supremo Arvind Kejriwal clearly drawing from Indira Gandhi saying, "मेरा खून का एक एक कतरा देश के काम आएगा." But you know what is important is, Akhil, that two things come out of what Arvind Kejriwal said in his defense. One, that he's under legal advice, and the legal advice is that the summons are invalid and illegal. Two, that there is a political game happening to stop him from campaigning, if need be by arresting him, and that's why these summons. But Akhil, tell us, what have Magunta Reddy and Sharat Babu told the Enforcement Directorate? Because the Delhi Chief Minister in his defense chose to absolutely not mention whatever the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court have said on this case through the bail applications of both Sanjay Singh and Manish Sisodia. So what have Magunta Reddy and Sharat Babu have in fact told the Enforcement Directorate, which makes your sources confident that the Delhi Chief Minister should submit himself to questioning?
Well, absolutely, Abhishek. If you see the different angles attached to it, the first part which we are talking about, that Moganta Reddy, he basically had a call with Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and regarding that FaceTime, there have been talks that Moganta Reddy wanted to meet Kejriwal, and apart from that, several others were also involved in this entire excise policy case. And what we have been learning from our sources that not only Moganta Reddy, apart from that, the nexus of the South group was also involved in that, and this is what the original charge sheet of ED has said, that there have been a quid pro quo and a fair exchange of things which has happened, because Mr. Kejriwal has been, this is what BJP has been claiming, that Kejriwal is trying to use this as an opportunity, and he is trying to play the politics of victimization. He has been saying that there have been no transactions which have been done physically or through the electronic means, and this is what Mr. Kejriwal's claim is. And apart from that, if you see the second side of the story, that BJP is claiming that Kejriwal must not be directly involved in this, but he was the mastermind, he was the kingpin who on through which the entire nexus was running. Because what we have been seeing that the excise policy which was the new excise policy which was implemented earlier have been taken back, and that decision was withdrawn because of that. Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, Akhil, I'm told that Shravan is in fact joining us also live from the newsroom, and he in fact brought this information earlier, including this exclusive input about approvers having taken Kejriwal's name as the key person taking all the decisions. In fact, Shravan, you got this information also that Republic brought to the viewers that the draft policy, which came under cloud and which ultimately became LiquorGate, was in fact handed over to the secretary at that time, Arvind Kumar, in the very presence of Chief Minister Kejriwal at his residence. So obviously there are witnesses, Shravan, to the fact that the policy had approval from Arvind Kejriwal himself, and despite that, he continues to be in denial about that.
Well, Abhishek, before I specifically answer that question, let's also make that attempt for all our viewers to perhaps demystify this, because you have Aam Aadmi Party with a large number of followers essentially telling the public that, look here, Arvind Kejriwal has been called in for questioning, and the enforcement director does not even tell him that whether he is a witness or he is a suspect. Now, let me clarify this. While Arvind Kejriwal may not want to talk about this, the reality is this. Under the provisions of the PMLA, unlike in the case of IPC or the CRPC, there is only one type of summon that has been sent out. And in that one type of summon, there is no mention of whether you are a witness or a suspect. When does that decision essentially is taken by the agency? When the examination takes place. For instance, Moganta Reddy, who was actually initially called in for question, he wasn't told that he's going to be a witness in the case. Over a period of time, as he started cooperating with the agency and provided the agency with more information, so is the case of Sharat and few other approvers. That is when the agency took the call that whether at all they want to continue with them as an approver in this particular case. An application was thereafter filed in the court, and it's the court which decides whether you're going to be an approver in the case or not. Similarly, as far as witness or suspect is concerned, that is a call that is taken at a much later stage. Also, let's make this distinction that right now, no one is essentially saying that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is an accused in this particular case. So why exactly was Arvind Kejriwal sent multiple summons? Now, this is the reason why. The three-part breaking that we've had, getting into specific details as to why Arvind Kejriwal was called in for questioning. Reason number one, they are looking at the funding allegedly received by the Aam Aadmi Party. The ED pegs it to about 100 crore rupees. This was during the Goa elections. In fact, they say the large part of the amount was actually used for outdoor broadcast in advertising that was going on, banners that were largely used. Now, to basically corroborate this, there were some AAP functionaries who were actually called in for questioning. We are not going to name those AAP functionaries because we do not know whether they are witnesses in the case, but I can only tell you this much, Abhishek, the two top Aam Aadmi Party functionaries who have already been named in the charge sheet, they have admitted that it is Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, who takes all the calls as far as the party affairs are concerned. That is the reason why, as the party head, the convener, or whatever you may call him, Arvind Kejriwal would have been given the opportunity to explain, is it ill-gotten money that was actually used for Goa elections? That is for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to answer. Second very important aspect is with regards to the draft policy. Now remember the draft policy. What is the allegation that has been leveled? That without much consultation, the profit margin was basically bumped up from 5% to 12%. So the margin difference that we are talking about, that is what they believe was the quid pro quo, or the money that was received as a kickback. Now that draft policy, a handwritten note, was prepared by the then Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia. He made a call to the Secretary, Mr. C. Arvind, and asked him to reach the Chief Minister's residence. In the presence of Arvind Kejriwal, that note was presented to C. Arvind, saying that this is what the liquor policy is going to look like. Now Arvind Kejriwal would have been given the opportunity once again to explain whether there is any truth to this matter or not. The third aspect, and which is the crucial aspect, I must say, because this is an information which hasn't gone out as yet, Abhishek, I've spoken to my sources. It turns out that there was a meeting that took place between two approvers, that is Magunta as well as Sharat Babu, with Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. And let me also remind our viewers, we do not know, let me underscore the point, we do not know what transpired in the meeting. This is only what Mr. Kejriwal can actually tell the enforcement director what was the purpose of the meeting. It could be anything else, may not be even to do with liquor policy. It could be for something else altogether, but we do not know at this point in time. Neither does the agency know what was the meeting all about. Arvind Kejriwal only can explain this before the enforcement director whenever he chooses to appear. The other aspect is with regards to the phone call, the alleged phone call that was made between Samir Mahindra, who is an accused in this case, with another accused called, who's the communication manager of the party, that is Vijay Nair, a FaceTime call that was made between all three of them, in which Samir Mahindra claims, let me also make this point very clear, it's a claim that has been made by Samir Mahindra that the call was with Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal introduces Vijay Nair as his boy. That could be in any context, may not be to do with anything to do with liquor policy. So the the question here is that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal can simply put up any defense as he wants. But unless he really appears before the enforcement directorate, that clarity would not come. And also it is laughable when a political party with some responsibility makes those assertions late last evening, saying that, look here, there's going to be a raid that is going to be carried out. Enforcement directorate is under immense pressure. Arrest will actually take place. For even someone like me who's been covering the central agency for almost a decade right now, even we do not know till the last moment whether arrest is going to take place or not. It only perhaps Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Atishi only have better sources within the enforcement director to actually get a tip-off of this nature, saying that there are going to be raids that are going to be carried out, arrest is going to take place, and arrest cannot take place, Abhishek, unless the examination takes place, because the enforcement directorate, as a federal agency, it is incumbent on the agency to prove it before the court that the custodial interrogation of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is of utmost importance. Otherwise, remember, the agency will be falling flat on their face if they are unable to really explain this before the court.
Yeah, Shravan, I think we are given to understand that, and you get to know from your sources, that there is a likelihood of fourth summon, which is obviously a process that the agency follows. But Shravan, my last question before I let you go, then what is this defense of Kejriwal that there is no trail which connects, or no money trail which connects him to the LiquorGate scam? Also, him claiming that he can give a written reply to a questionnaire sent by the ED. You think that ED could be opting for it in terms of getting at least some response from Kejriwal and get the process going, or they would rather, complete the process, 4th, 5th, 6th summons, like it has happened in the case of Hemant Soren, and give that much time to the Delhi Chief Minister before actually going ahead and arresting him?
Well, typically, what happens, Abhishek, is that he holds a constitutional position also, and more importantly, the enforcement directorate would also be extremely cautious before taking any punitive action. Even if in the case of Manish Sisodia, remember the Central Bureau of Investigation was extremely cautious till the time they were absolutely clear that there was enough evidence against Manish Sisodia. In fact, there was documentary evidence. As far as Arvind Kejriwal is concerned, the reason why multiple summons have been sent, because they essentially want a clarification on the aspects that I've basically mentioned. Now, what really happens thereafter? Will there be a non-bailable warrant? In all likelihood, that's not going to be the case. Will there be more summons? Yes. What I can tell you with some amount of certainty that a fourth summon will be issued. That is going to happen very soon. In fact, this morning when I spoke to one of my sources, they indicated that they were examining the reply, but the reply certainly is laughable given the fact that, nowhere has it really happened that they have indicated that you are a witness or you are a suspect. Now, answering the other question, does he have the, possibility of giving a written reply? If at all Mr. Arvind Kejriwal was completely immobile and the fact that he was in the hospital, perhaps they would have even considered doing that. It has happened in the past where written replies have been taken by the enforcement director. But in this case, let me make it very clear that there is absolutely no possibility whatsoever unless something really changes. But as I understand, covering the agency, nothing would really justify the fact that they would have allowed Arvind Kejriwal to basically give a written reply. Because if a precedent is set, then this is going to happen many a times in the future. That is the reason why they would never make that mistake. If you basically juxtapose this with the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren's case, yes, undoubtedly, a leeway has been given, a long rope has been given to the Chief Minister. But in the last notice that was actually issued to the Chief Minister, which I did have the opportunity to actually see, categorically, Abhishek, this is what the Enforcement Directorate has written. You are given the last opportunity under Section 50D of the PMLA, and you had to explain the allegations that have been leveled against you, and that lapses now. So the question does not arise. So what happens next with the heat upping the ante right now? It only seems that perhaps, as far as Hemant Soren is concerned, there could be a punitive action too.
All right. Thank you so much with that deep dive, Shawan, and also Akhil joining us from New Delhi. And on that note, let's listen into the reactions that have come in from the ruling BJP. In fact, Minister Anurag Thakur hit out at Arvind Kejriwal, calling him the kingpin of the LiquorGate probe and asking why is he running away from the questioning. Listen in.
आज आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता जेलों में पड़े हैं, एक साल से ज़्यादा पड़े, और श्रीमान अरविंद केजरीवाल का भी भ्रष्टाचार में उतना ही हाथ है। अब तो नए नए भ्रष्टाचार सामने आ रहे हैं, कहाँ फर्जी दवाइयों का और अब फर्जी टेस्टिंग का, यानी कि जांच भी फर्जी, दवाइयाँ भी फर्जी। ये फर्जीवाल सरकार में बड़े घोटाले की बू एक बार फिर आई है। मैं धन्यवादी हूँ एलजी साहब ने जांच के आदेश दिए हैं, और ये जो लोगों की जान के साथ खेला गया है, जिसकी जांच भी गलत होगी, फर्जी होगी, और दवाइयाँ भी नकली फर्जी दी जाएंगी, तो उसके जीवन के साथ खिलवाड़ किसी ने किया है, तो उसका नाम अरविंद केजरीवाल है। लोगों के जीवन के साथ खेलने वाले, अराजकता फैलाने वाले, भ्रष्टाचार को बढ़ावा देने वाले और संवैधानिक संस्थाओं को उनके खिलाफ भी अपनी बार बार आवाज़ उठाने वाले ऐसे अरविंद केजरीवाल, आज जनता पूछती है कि क्या आप नियम से ऊपर हो? क्या अरविंद केजरीवाल देश के कानून से और नियमों से ऊपर हो गए? आखिर ऐसा क्या डर है अरविंद केजरीवाल के मन में कि ये भ्रष्टाचार के गंभीर आरोपों के बावजूद ईडी के सामने पेश नहीं हो रहे?